The fire alarm rang, but Zuri didn't run. She just stood there, still as a statue, her marshmallow-shaped helmet steaming under the red lights. Students screamed, glass shattered somewhere down the hall, but she didn't move. Everyone stared, wondering, was the mysterious black girl finally going to show her face? Or burn with her secrets? The fire turned out to be a chemistry experiment gone wrong. No injuries, just chaos, smoke, and rumors. But that day, Zuri Timmy became more than just the African girl in the helmet. She became a story no one could stop whispering about. Seoul Elite International School was filled with glittering students, sons and daughters of diplomats, CEOs, idols, and foreign ambassadors. The walls smelled of perfume and pressure. Everyone wore name-brand clothes. Everyone had perfect skin. And everyone stared at Zuri like she was an alien from a forgotten planet. She was the only black girl, not just in her class, in the entire school. But what made her even stranger wasn't just her deep brown skin or the Tanzanian accent she tried to hide. It was the thing on her head. A soft, white, puffy helmet, shaped like a marshmallow. It covered her whole head. Her hair, her forehead, her face. Only a slim black mesh allowed her to see, and even then, no one could see her eyes from the outside. Some students said she wore it to protect herself from Korean beauty standards. Others joked that maybe her face had been burnt. Some believed she was a rich African heiress with a deformity. No one knew the truth. And she never told anyone. Even teachers had given up asking. Helmet Girl, the students called her. The ghost of Class 3A. The faceless freshman. But grades? Always number one. Assignments? Flawless. Sports? She ran like lightning in track. Art? Her paintings looked like dreams melted onto canvas. Still, no one sat with her. No one talked to her, not kindly anyway. Except maybe Mr. Kwan, the elderly janitor, who once muttered, "That girl, she doesn't smell like fear. She smells like secrets." Every day, Zuri came in quietly, sat in the last row, did her work, and left. Her voice was soft, rarely heard. She barely ate during lunch. And if she ever cried, no one could tell under the helmet. But she was crying. At night. In a tiny apartment shared with her sick aunt, Auntie Nima, who coughed so much, Zuri often stayed awake, scared of losing the only family she had left. They had moved from Dar es Salaam to Korea after her parents died. A bomb. A market. She had survived. And people whispered she had laughed right after the blast. But she hadn't. She had screamed and no one heard. The video had gone viral. So she ran. And hid. The helmet became her skin. But everything began to shift one Monday morning. The principal announced it in the assembly hall. This year, for the first time, the winner of Miss Elite Seoul will be chosen from student votes only. Any girl can apply. Gasps. Excitement. Glitter in the air. Influencers started preparing their campaigns. Girls hired stylists. Money flowed. And then, a soft voice echoed from the back of the hall. "I'd like to apply too." Heads turned. Jaws dropped. It was Zuri. Helmet and all. Whispers exploded like fireworks across the school. She wants to be Miss Elite. With that face? Wait, does she even have a face? What if she's bald under there? She's doing it for pity votes, I swear. She's cursed. She'll bring bad luck to the competition. But Zuri didn't care. She filled out the application herself. Handwritten. Perfect Korean. She started sketching her own dress design. Practiced spoken word poetry on rooftops. Learned traditional Korean dances by watching videos late at night after work. Because yes, after school she worked. Washing dishes at a local barbecue place. Her helmet always on. The owner didn't ask questions. One afternoon, she came back to school after practice and found her locker wide open. Everything was scattered. Her art projects torn. And on a ripped piece of her poetry was scribbled in red ink. "You will never be one of us. Leave, helmet head." Zuri stood there, silent, staring. Then she picked up the torn paper, folded it neatly, and whispered, "Watch me." She didn't cry. But the janitor who saw her that day said her helmet shook. Like a volcano was stirring beneath. And that night, she took off the helmet. Just for a moment. In her room, she stared at herself in the mirror. Her full lips. Her rich black skin. Her afro coils growing back thick from months of hiding. A tear slid down. She whispered to her reflection, "You're not ugly. You're just unseen." And she made a promise. If I win this crown, they will never forget this face. Zuri found a sewing needle stuck in the toe of her shoe. It wasn't there in the morning. Someone had planted it while she changed for gym class. But she didn't flinch. She simply removed the needle, placed it in her pocket, and walked silently past the girl who was smiling too hard. The news spread like wild gossip at a K-pop scandal party. The helmet girl had joined the Miss Elite contest. Everyone was talking. Teachers, janitors, even the cafeteria lunch lady who only said "Annyeong" and "bulgogi." Everywhere Zuri went, whispers followed like shadows. She's playing victim for sympathy votes. She's probably using African magic. She can't win. She's not Korean. She's not pretty. She's not anything. The top 3 contestants hated her the most. Minji, the popular fashionista with 500k followers. Soyeon, the icy quiet one with model legs. Haran, who had already printed flyers with her face on them. To them, Zuri was not a threat, she was an insult. But Zuri wasn't here to threaten them. She was here to reclaim herself. After classes, she started rehearsing. Alone. In the abandoned auditorium, late into the evening. Her helmet still on. She practiced her walk. Her dance. Her poetry. When she twirled, her skirt flared like fire. When she spoke, her voice shook like thunder behind the clouds. They say I have no face. But a face without truth is the real mask. I wear my truth. Even if it scares you. She stitched her own dress after school, black and gold, inspired by Maasai beadwork and Korean hanbok folds. Every bead, every pleat, every thread had a story. And still, she was alone. Until one day, someone walked in. Juno. Quiet. Tall. A genius in robotics club. He always sat 2 rows ahead of her in class. Never mocked her. Never laughed. He stood by the stage door and clapped once, slow. That poem, he said, was dangerous. I liked it. Zuri froze. No one had ever clapped for her before. No one had spoken to her like that, like she was just a girl, not the helmet. From that day on, he kept showing up. Bringing her water. Giving her books on stage performance. Helping her adjust the stage lights. She didn't speak much. But she started looking forward to hearing his voice. One night, he whispered, "Why do you hide your face?" She didn't answer. Instead, she handed him a sketchbook filled with drawings of the helmet, twisted, broken, burning. "I wear it to protect the world," she finally said. "From what I might become if they saw me." Juno didn't flinch. Then let them burn. But the other girls weren't impressed by Zuri's poetry or secret admirer. Minji saw her dancing one evening and took a video. The next day, a slow-motion clip of Zuri's awkward spin from an early rehearsal was posted online, edited to make her look clumsy. It went viral. Helmet girl tries to dance. Should have stayed invisible face with tears of joy. Laughter echoed through the halls. Even teachers saw it. But Zuri didn't cry. She simply danced better the next day. On the Friday before the semifinals, Zuri opened her locker to find all her costume fabric cut into shreds. Someone had dumped kimchi juice on her poetry notes. She stood there for a long time, helmet fogging up, then turned around. Minji was leaning against the wall, arms folded, smiling. "This is Seoul," Minji said. "Not Nairobi or whatever jungle you came from." Zuri took one slow step forward. Helmet tilted. "I'm from Tanzania," she said softly. "But I'll collect that crown in Korean." Then she walked away. That night, Juno surprised her with new fabric. Satin. Gold. From his mother's shop. "I told her it was for a school hero," he said. Zuri couldn't speak. Her throat tightened. Instead, she sat beside him. And for the first time, removed her glove and held his hand. He didn't look shocked. He just squeezed her fingers. "You don't have to win to be seen," he whispered. But Zuri shook her head. "I do. Not for them. For me." The next week, the school printed all 10 contestants' photos for the voting booth. Except Zuri. Her profile showed only the white helmet. Students laughed. "Maybe we should vote just to see what she's hiding." The school admin warned her gently, "You'll have to reveal your face during the finals." She nodded. But when they left, she whispered to her reflection in the window. "I'm not ready." The spotlight was shaking. Or maybe she was. Zuri stood at the center of the stage, her marshmallow helmet shining under the golden lights. The crowd held their breath. Phones were raised. "Cameras ready. Remove your helmet," the host said with a smile. Zuri didn't move. Her fingers trembled. And then someone else moved for her. The night of Miss Elite Soul was a kaleidoscope of color and nerves. The grand auditorium was packed. Parents, students, sponsors, judges all dressed in gowns and suits like it was the Oscars. 10 contestants lined the stage, but only one wore a helmet. The crowd buzzed louder the longer Zuri stood there, faceless, nameless, quiet. Her dress? A masterpiece of gold and black, hugging her tall figure like royalty. Intricate beadwork. A dramatic flair. Traditional yet modern. Fierce. But her helmet stole all the attention. Some students whispered it's a stunt. Others whispered she's scared. A few said maybe she doesn't even have a face. Backstage before the reveal, Juno had found her alone, staring at herself in the mirror, helmet still on. "They don't deserve your beauty," he said. "It's not about them," Zuri replied. "It's about me and the little girl I used to be before the bomb. Before the burns. Before the fear." Juno stepped closer. "You're ready." "I'm not." He kissed the top of her helmet. "Then let your strength arrive before your courage does." Now on stage, the host turned to Zuri. "Contestant number 10. Will you please remove your headgear so the judges can see your face?" The audience leaned forward. Even the judges, once skeptical, looked curious. Zuri took one shaky step forward. Then another. Her hand reached up and paused. Her fingers hovered just under the edge of the helmet. Her breathing grew loud under the mic. Sweat slid down her neck. And she froze. Minji couldn't take it anymore. In one swift move, she marched across the stage, snatched Zuri's arm, and hissed into the mic. "You don't belong here. Take that thing off." Gasps rang through the crowd. "Wait!" cried one of the teachers. Too late. Minji grabbed the helmet and yanked it off. It fell with a soft, echoing thud on the wooden floor. The room went silent. Zuri stood, her face fully exposed for the first time. And what they saw was stunning. Flawless, deep brown skin. High cheekbones. Full lips. Big, glowing eyes like polished glass. Hair coiled like a crown, thick and bouncing, pinned in golden rings. She was breathtaking. No, she was art. Even Minji, hands still clutching the helmet, gasped audibly. Cameras flashed. Students stood. Some clapped without realizing it. Others cried. It was like watching a goddess fall from the sky and land in gold heels. Zuri didn't flinch. She didn't cover her face. She didn't run. Instead, she looked at Minji and whispered, just loud enough for the mic to catch. "Thank you for revealing what fear couldn't." Then she turned to the judges and bowed. Perfect posture. Royalty-level grace. And finally, she smiled. The auditorium erupted. After the show, the votes came in. Zuri had the highest number in the history of the pageant. But it wasn't the crown that made her cry that night. It was the little girl in her memory, covered in ash and blood, finally whispering, "You're free now." Minji? She was suspended for public aggression and harassment. The video of her unmasking Zuri went viral worldwide, but not the way she expected. People called Zuri the African Phoenix. Fashion brands reached out. News outlets begged for interviews. And the school? They had just crowned their first Black Miss Elite Soul. Zuri went home that night, still in her golden dress, holding the helmet in her hands. She looked at it for a long time, then placed it on her shelf. As a trophy, Zuri opened her locker and screamed. Inside wasn't her jacket. Not her notebooks. Not even her textbooks. It was a black and white printed photo. Her face, with the words written in red marker. "Now the world knows. Let's rip you apart." The helmet was gone. And the world had seen her. Zuri's face was everywhere. On gossip blogs, school news, Instagram reels, even Korean morning shows. Meet Zuri Mtemi, the faceless girl who stole Seoul's heart. Helmet Girl is actually a queen crown. She got hundreds of DMs. Some called her brave. Some called her dramatic. Some said she had no right being in a Korean pageant. But others? "You're my role model. You gave me courage to go to school without makeup today. I'm Black and I live in Busan. Can we be friends?" Zuri barely had time to breathe. People stared harder now. Teachers suddenly smiled more. Students who never noticed her were now waving at her in the halls. She hated it. Because now everyone saw her. But no one knew her. And behind all that glitter, the poison began to spread. Minji, though suspended, was still in the shadows, her fans now bitter and burning. Suyin and Haran? Still in school. Still angry. They watched Zuri walk through the halls like she was some crowned goddess. They hated her peace, her glow, her soft confidence. So they planned something cruel. One morning, as Zuri sat in the library, Juno slid into the seat across from her. A grin tugged at his lips. "The internet is in love with you." Zuri rolled her eyes. "They'll forget me in a week." He leaned closer. "Not me. Butterflies. Her first ones in years." They worked on her poetry performance for the upcoming culture festival. Zuri was doing a piece titled "Behold, I Belong." Juno helped design the background stage. An animated sun rising over Mount Kilimanjaro, blending with the Seoul skyline. They laughed, wrote, stared too long at each other. And just when she thought she could finally trust someone, she walked into class the next day. Phones turned. Whispers exploded. On the screen, the class monitor had connected a USB drive. A video started playing. It was Zuri, in the girls' locker room, struggling to fix her hair. Tears falling. Whispering to herself, "I'm still ugly. I shouldn't have taken off the helmet. They're all lying." The class laughed. Some gasped. Some just stared. Zuri froze, then turned slowly, and saw Suyin grinning by the window. That was the first time she slapped someone, right across Suyin's pale cheek. The sound echoed, but no one blamed Zuri, because the teacher stormed in moments later and screamed, "Who leaked this private footage?" Zuri didn't wait for the answer. She left. In the bathroom, she ripped off her earrings, gasping for air. Juno followed her minutes later. He didn't say anything. He just hugged her. And for the first time, she broke. Tears. Shaking. Guilt. "I'm becoming the girl they want me to be." Angry. Loud. Drama. Juno held her tighter. "No. You're becoming the girl you were meant to be." Scene. The next day, Zuri didn't come to school. The day after that, neither did Juno. And that's when the rumors started. He was only helping her for clout. He's embarrassed to be seen with her now. His family didn't approve of him dating a black girl. Zuri tried texting him. No reply. She waited. 1 day. 2. 3. Then she opened her locker and found a note, written in Juno's handwriting. "I'm sorry. I didn't know she was recording you. I should have protected you. I thought I could fix it before it got out." Zuri's knees weakened. "It was Hayren," the note continued. "She came to me, threatened to ruin your reputation and mine." I panicked. And then at the bottom, "Forgive me if you can." Zuri didn't cry this time. She just picked up her old helmet from the shelf when she got home, stared at it, held it, then put it in a black plastic bag, and threw it in the trash. "If the world wants to burn, let it," she whispered. "I'll walk through the fire." The moment Zuri walked on stage again, half the crowd stood. Not because of her beauty, not because of the scandal, but because of the fire in her eyes that warned, "You buried me too early. Watch me rise." 3 weeks had passed since the locker room video. 3 weeks since Juno disappeared. 3 weeks since Zuri became the center of a storm she never asked for. But storms make flowers grow. And Zuri? She was blooming. She returned to school wearing no helmet, no makeup, no jewelry, just a plain kaitench scarf around her afro, tied like a queen. The students stared. She didn't care. She had signed up for the International Cultural Festival, the biggest event of the semester. Her performance? A spoken word piece called "Behold, I Belong." The same girls who once mocked her were now holding their breath. And the boys? They were quiet for once. Looking, watching, waiting. Behind the scenes, Minji tried to return to school with fake smiles and teary apologies, but nobody cared anymore. Her power was gone. Soyeon got suspended for the video leak. Heron transferred schools before the heat got too hot. Zuri hadn't said a word about any of them. Not to the principal, not to social media, not even to her fans. But she was planning her response. And it would come in one performance. The day of the festival, Zuri walked into the auditorium in silence. No glitz, no gold dress. She wore a long flowing black robe, stitched with pieces of Maasai red and Zulu bead patterns. Her hair was open, full, wild, unapologetic. The lights dimmed. She stepped into the center of the stage. A spotlight hit her face, and the mic picked up her soft, low breath. Then, she began. They called me a ghost, a girl with no face, a mystery, a monster, a mistake in the wrong place. But I am made of thunder stolen from broken drums. I am the daughter of deserts in rain. the mirror of every child who learned to walk through pain. They said you don't belong here. But I say, watch me sit on the throne they tried to burn. Watch me rise. Her voice shook the walls. Her hands moved like waves. She stomped once and background visuals of African savannas turned to city skylines. Tears rolled down some students' cheeks. Teachers stood. The audience held their breath. Then, halfway through her poem, something insane happened. Juno walked on stage. He held a small box and said, "I wrote this for you." He opened it. Inside, a small metal crown. But not just any crown. A helmet, recrafted, painted gold, with the Swahili words engraved across the front. Niliumbwa Kwanakana. I was made to be seen. Zuri paused. Tears welled in her eyes. The crowd was silent. She turned to Juno. He stepped forward and whispered into the mic. I left because I was scared. But I realized bravery is staying beside the fire, not running from it. Then he gently placed the golden helmet at her feet. Zuri picked it up, looked at it, then looked at the crowd. This is who I was. She placed it beside the mic stand. But this is who I am. The crowd erupted, clapping, screaming, crying, even teachers wiping tears. Zuri finished the poem with fire in her soul. I belong, not because he said so, but because I said so. Boom. The stage went black. Later that night, her performance trended in 11 countries. She got offers from poetry festivals, schools, and even an invitation to speak at a UN youth event. People who once ignored her now wanted selfies. Girls from Ghana, Botswana, Rwanda messaged her, saying, "You gave us a face." And Juno? He never left her side again. They started writing poetry together. Not about pain, but about power. And that old white helmet? It now sat in the school's glass trophy case, beside a golden plaque that read, "The girl behind the helmet. She came, she saw, she shook the world." This story teaches us that true beauty isn't in appearance, it's in courage, confidence, and character. Hiding who you are to survive is okay, but stepping into your truth is where your power begins. Racism, bullying, and judgment exist, but so does redemption, respect, and reinvention. Your differences are not your weakness, they are your crown. Crown. It's a powerful reminder to every viewer. Don't let the world define you. Define yourself and watch the world adjust.